Hello everyone and welcome to H&M Business Coaching. This video is going into a playlist on YouTube that is set up specifically to do the backstory for a lot of the things that we're going to be discussing in my group coaching. And that playlist is called Profit Acceleration Group Coaching Backstory. That's because in these videos, we're going to be talking about why things are important. In the group coaching, I'm going to be giving you the what's and the how's. But in this backstory group, we're going to be talking about the whys, because a lot of times you're going to get instructions from your coaches to say, well, just go do something. And you're thinking, well, why is that important? I just want to go do this. Right. So we want to make sure that you have all the tools and information necessary to do a great job in building your business. And I'm really happy to have as my guest today, Haley Gray, who is a marketing expert, and I mean a true expert, and the founder of Intuitive Biz Solutions. Haley is also the founder of Women's Entrepreneur Network, which is a wildly successful group in Facebook, and does a variety of other things. And her business really helps you when you get started with your branding, with your messaging, with your websites, and all of those things that most of us really don't want to have to deal with. Haley's group does an absolutely awesome job, and that's why I've asked her to have this discussion with me today. So firstly, welcome, Haley. It's great to have you here.
It's fabulous to be here.
So let's get into, why are your vision and your mission important? Firstly, what is your vision and what is your mission and how are they different? So to take this as really short version, your vision is where you want to be X number of years down the road. So pick a number, 5, 10 years down the road. What do you want this business to look like? How big will it be? What will it have accomplished? You're looking at the vision from the standpoint of you are already down the road and you're telling somebody, this is where I am. Not how I'm getting there, but this is where I am. So my business is a 7-figure business. We're making 1.5 million a year. I have 10 employees. We provide the following things to this type of client or customer. I am on these social media things. I have a website that generates whatever. You're giving the vision of what your business is looking like X number of years down the road. So what's your mission? Your mission really is, how are you getting there? Right? So if your vision is by the year 2030, we will have solved hunger in your state, right? Then your mission may be just starting with, we're going to provide lunches for at-risk children over the weekend when they can't get school lunches. Yeah. And that may be your mission, your first mission. Now, will it stay there? No. Your mission is a living, breathing thing, and it's going to change over time as you get closer and closer to that vision. But your mission is basically, how am I getting to that vision? And my first step is X. These are the people that I'm serving. This is how I'm doing it. So that's what the difference is. One is, I'm already here. The other one is, this is the path I'm taking to get there. Okay, so hopefully we've got that straight. Now, I know a lot of you, when you're starting your business, think, I am an expert at this. I just want to get out there and do this. I just want to get out there and sell this. I want to help this client. I want to do this or that. It takes time. It takes effort to get that vision just where you want it to be, to get that mission just where you want it to be. So why would you spend time on that rather than working on, let me get out there and just sell my whatever? And that's why we're talking to Haley, because Haley is the person who really takes it in the back of the head when people don't do a good job of figuring out their vision and their mission. So Haley, what's the impact on you?
Well, I would say a lot of times people will come to me for the nth website redesign, and it might be the 4th, the 5th, the 8th, and they're like, well, I'm not making any money, so it's time for me to redo my website. And it's never, I need to redo my social media or my SEO or my other stuff. It's always, I need to redo the website. I'm like, well, what makes you think you need to redo your website? Well, I'm not making as much money as I want to in my business. And it not infrequently, and this is, frequently a thing that happens with coaches. But we're like, okay, so maybe the problem is not the website itself. Maybe the problem is that you haven't figured out who you're serving, how you're serving, what your vision is, what your mission is. You haven't even started to get clients yet to know what you're actually doing in your business and figured out the basics before you go and you spend thousands of dollars writing copy and doing logos and doing branding and doing all the pretty stuff to build a website. And a lot of times I think people think that the website is keeping them from getting clients, and honestly, it's not. It's the lack of definition of who are you serving, how are you serving them, et cetera, et cetera. I can tell you that I've had sizable portions of my business where I haven't even had a website. And it doesn't stop people from finding me. It doesn't stop people from hiring me. Does it make it easier? Absolutely. Does it make me more findable? Absolutely. But it's not the website's fault. And so a lot of times when I'm talking to somebody who's on the third website redo or the fourth website redo, it's the conversation of, this might not be the website's problem. This is probably a lack of defining the business, that lack of that vision, that lack of that mission. And then you can't write copy if you don't know what you're trying to do. If you don't know what the end is, you can't begin with the end in mind. So you can't get there from here. It's like, asking Google to go somewhere.
Right. Absolutely. So, and if people don't know what it is that you're trying to do, what it is that you're there to provide, who you're trying to serve, if that vision isn't crystal clear, then they're going to go to somebody who can articulate what it is that they're doing, because what you're presenting is just confusing them.
Absolutely. And the other thing that happens is, if you don't know where you're going, then how are your clients and customers supposed to know where you're going?
Right. And if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to know when you get there? Right. I've heard people say, if you want to go into business, all you need is a really good product and, a reasonable price and some marketing and go for it. But that doesn't really work. That's a myth, because
that doesn't work in a service-based business for sure. I mean, if you're selling, Easter eggs, maybe, but anything more complex than it definitely doesn't work.
Well, even, if you've got a product that is a little bit more complex than Easter eggs, that people, it might be an innovation in a product that they normally go for,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know what it is that you do. They don't know what you're presenting, why it's different, how this is going to make their life easier or better. Then, they're still going to go back to what they know. So it's really important for people, when they are starting their business, to sit down and take the time to work through what that vision needs to look like and to create that mission. And if your grandmother can't understand what you're doing, then you have to keep working on it, because this needs to be simple. It doesn't need to be jargon. It doesn't need to be, complex 3-syllable words. It really needs to be simple, so people look at it and go, oh, that's what you stand for. That's what you're here to do. Great. They either self-select, yeah, I'm there, or no, not for me, move on.
Well, and that's an interesting thing that you bring it up, because I've frequently done a post in my Women's Entrepreneur Network that is, describe what you do as if I'm a second grader. And people talk down to me when I do that. And I'm like, no, that's not what it means. You don't talk down to a second grader, not really. But you do need to simplify it so that somebody who doesn't have the same education, so somebody who doesn't have the same background, who's somebody who doesn't know where you're coming from, can actually understand what the heck it is that you do and what you sell, and do they want to buy from you or do they not want to buy from you? Is this your ideal client or not?
Yeah. Can you help me or you can't help me? But if I can't even understand what it is that you're doing, then I can't tell if you can help me or you can't help me.
Right, exactly. And a lot of times people make it really, really hard to understand what the heck it is that they do. So it's really hard to understand. And I mean, I will tell a lot of times people, I fix broken websites. And they're like, oh, that's so ridiculously simple. And I'm like, yeah, I fix broken websites. I fix broken ad campaigns. I fix broken SEO. I fix broken social media. I fix broken marketing. But if you don't make it super simple, people can't engage with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's really important when you're starting out your business to sit down and figure out where you truly want to be. And this will go back to also something else that I advocate, which is to really figure out what your why is and not the superficial stuff, right? I want to make
Right.
7 figures so I can retire. Now, I want to get down to the level where something flies out of your mouth before your brain is engaged because it's genuinely something you've not talked about before. You've never shared it with anybody because it is so personal. And it might be something like, I'm doing this so that I can show my dad that I can be a success. Right? My dad was an entrepreneur. He always thought I was an idiot. I got to get this done because I want to show him. And when you've got that understanding of why you're doing this, then your vision needs to fit in with that. Because if you tell me that the real reason that you're doing something is because you want to spend more time with your kids in a way that your parents never could with you, and then your vision is to build a $10 million business, we've got a disconnect, guys. You're not going to be spending a lot of time with your children while you're building, an 8-figure business.
Yeah.
So all of these things are like pieces of a puzzle that need to fit together so that not only do people know what you're doing, what you stand for, what you're providing in very simple terms, but also it fits in with what you truly want so that you build a business that you love and not one that you wish somebody could fire you from.
Yeah, you're not building yourself a job.
Right. Absolutely. Nobody wants to do that.
Well, and a lot of times that's exactly what we end up doing, right? Is we end up building ourselves a job.
Yep. So that vision usually is of a larger business where you've got other people working for you. And so that's what you're working towards, so that you keep remembering that my goal is to be working on my business, not in my business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And it will also play into things like colors. When people think, with my branding, I've got to get my colors down and I've got to get my voice down. But all of this goes back to that vision and that mission. And they all have to line up, because if your branding does not work with that vision, does not work with that mission, then you're going to confuse people, because people, a lot of times, they're not necessarily looking at you logically. They're also looking at you with their gut, with their feelings, with your vibrations, with all of those other things as a complete package. And if things are not in alignment, then, poor people like Haley maybe, trying to get your whole package together, get your voice down, get your colors down, get your website, looking great. But if she doesn't have a great idea from you on what your vision and your mission is, she can't tell if all of that stuff fits together. And then you're going to come back and say, well, you didn't do a good job. Well, it's not, Haley, that's not doing a good job. You missed a step, a very important step.
Yeah. Well, and part of the challenge too is, I get people who come to me for branding or whatever, and even marketing plans. And sometimes it's like, okay, so what are you selling? Before we can even market it, what are we selling? How are we selling it? Who are you trying to sell it to? And if we don't have some of these basic answers, we have to go even further back. And I had a conversation with somebody recently that was really awkward, because I was like, okay, so how much are you selling your product for? Well, here's how much I'm selling my product for. Well, and she's asking me how much she should pay her salesperson. And I'm like, well, there's part of your problem. If you're paying somebody on commission to sell these packages, then there has to be enough compensation built into each sale to make it worth their time. And if you're not charging enough for your product and you're not delivering enough value for this, and it's that whole, like, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because it wasn't thought out clearly enough what the vision and the mission were.
And you
so
can't allow your employees to tell you what they are.
Yeah.
You can't hire a virtual assistant to have them tell you what your mission and vision are.
No. Just like you can't hire somebody to tell you what your values are. Those are things that you really need to come up with on your own. And then that gets passed down to your employees as part of the culture of the company.
Yeah.
So,
and in one of the things that I see happen a lot of times is people want to hire, the cheapest virtual assistant out there, the cheapest whatever out there to help them. And then the next thing you know, they're asking them for this strategy. And yeah, I see the look on your face. And the problem, and I've done it, and the problem is, well, how do I do this? Well, that's a strategy question a lot of times. Do you even want to do this? Does it make sense for you to do this? Where are you at that you think that you're going to do this? And, really thinking about mission, vision, your basics and your foundation will answer a lot of those questions.
Right. Well, this has been a great discussion. Thank you so much, Haley. Haley, if somebody wants to get hold of you because you are a marketing expert and they may need marketing help, how would they do that?
They can find me on my website, intuitivebiz.com, and it's spelled with a number 2, not TU. Or they can find me at HaleyLynnGray.com.
Okay, perfect. And we will put that in the show notes so that people can find you. And then if you are watching this playlist, but you have not signed up for group coaching, then please go to the Calendly link that I'm showing in the banner, calendly.com, my name, Wendy Byford, /GC. Let's have a 20-minute conversation to see if group coaching at the level and quality of high ticket one-to-one coaching is good for you. And then we can take it from there. Okay, Haley, this has been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for your wisdom and for your comments. Everybody, please take to heart what Haley has said. She's in the trenches every day trying to help people who have not put all of their puzzle pieces together and trying to get them to go back and build their foundation after they've already messed up a couple of times. So we don't want that to happen to you. We want you to have your firm foundation in place before you move forward. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for watching, and look for the next backstory shortly. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.